stream of consciousness. Waiting is hard, but waiting can be very nice as well. Waiting is good sometimes. I waited in a line today to buy some fish, and an older gentleman, went into the store ahead of me. There's a 4-person limit. And he went and looked around like he was going to buy fish. And I said, "Excuse me, sir, there's a line." He's like, "Where's the line?" I'm like, "I'm the start of the line. There's 4 people allowed in at the time." And he just left. And I was like, "Oh, that's too bad." And I said, "Should I let him go ahead of me? He's an older person." He wasn't ancient, just, early 60s maybe, which is, how old is that anymore under COVID? And he left. He was not going to buy his fish. He didn't want to wait in a line. Why should I have to wait in a line just to buy my fish? I was wondering that myself, standing out there like a fool on the street, waiting in a line for the fish. Didn't even have the fish I wanted. But I compromised. I was thinking to myself, in another time, in this exact same place, you didn't go in assuming you would leave if they didn't have the fish you wanted. You would go in and you would get the fish that was there, or the fish that was good. This place wasn't the cleanest fish store on the street, which is, I guess, why they had a smaller line than the other fish store. I have very kind of conflicting sets of limits and boundaries around COVID, as we all do. What's yours? For me, I don't wear a mask because I'm going to touch my face, and I know it doesn't do anything to protect me. And do I really care about you? I care about you enough that I'm not going to go into a store. If there's too many of you in there, I'm not going to walk right up to you, give you a lot of space. I think that's pretty good. I try to not leave my house too much. I'm always waiting to leave my house. Waiting for a gray, rainy day so I could go out and not enjoy the sunshine. Waiting for a sunny day and then feeling bad that I'm going to go out at the same time everybody else on the planet is outside. The parks were already too busy here, and now that it's the only thing to do, they are extra, extra busy right when we're supposed to not be anywhere near each other. Now that things are starting to get better, with scare quotes in the air, imagine that, by which I mean things aren't actually better. Now, of course, all the professionals are like, by the way, get ready because it's about to get COVID-y again. All kinds of COVID everywhere. What do? You carry your hand sanitizer in your pocket. Sanitize your hands before and after everything. Don't touch your face. Wash your hands when you get home. Try not to engage with people who don't live in your household. Keep them very far away. The sky is so blue at the very, very, very top. It looks dark blue, but there's no clouds. It's just sunny and bright. I think my window is also very dirty. That's probably why it looks a little gray. Not because it's gray sky. It is, in fact, a very bright blue sky. But, in fact, my window is very dirty. When I first moved into my apartment, all of the windows were filthy, and I just took the windows out of the window pane, and I washed every single one of them. Disgusting. These windows need to be cleaned. Now I've been here 3 years, and they are disgusting, and they need to be cleaned. And cleaning them on the inside isn't going to do it. You have to take them out of the window frame and clean them. The one in my bedroom is fine. It's a newer window that's also just poorly installed, so it's loose. But the ones in the front are old windows, and they are supposedly easy to remove, but they are, in fact, can be quite sticky and difficult. Even though it's possible, I would have to take everything out of the teeny tiny front room just to have room to do this. Satisfying project, though. That's a COVID project. That's the kind of project when you can't start on anything. You're just waiting to get started on things. You know there's a list of things you could and should do, and you just can't sit down and start them, that's when you spend the entire day cleaning the windows. And then you're done, and the windows are sparkling clean, and you can sit back at your desk, and even though you're not doing anything, at least you clean the windows, and maybe that will inspire you to actually do something. Do something on your list of very difficult things to do. Lots of effort required. Sometimes I sit down and I spend 2 months trying to do a difficult thing with lots of effort required, and in the process of trying to do it, I actually just end up doing all these other things instead. And then one day I feel so tragic, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna just try to work on this, and it's done in 45 minutes. And it's great. What an amazing feeling. Like, incredible. It's like a high. You're like, I just did it. I did it. And I did it in 45 minutes. And you do a dance, and maybe you have a treat. You get some kind of treat, and you eat it. And then comes the low, the very low, when you're like, oh, I just finished that. There's nothing else to do on it. The next thing I have to do is going to be even harder. So the process begins again. That's okay. If you step away and you just show people what you have, you're like, here is what I have, and you lay it out in front of them, they go, oh, that's a lot of stuff. You worked really hard. I can see it right there. Maybe you even did a good job, and that's even better. Look at all this stuff. It's great. You did an amazing job. Well, thank you. And if you're smart, you act like this work is constant and ongoing, and there it is just, you just like popped it out without even like an extra breath. It's just like, whew, and it came out. But the reality is the months of sitting there not doing much except going, oh, what's next? And that's waiting. You're waiting. You're just waiting for something. Waiting for something to happen. And sometimes the thing you're waiting to happen is inside you. It often is. I guess it's always inside you. But sometimes it is also legitimately external. I am waiting for this external thing to happen that will make it possible for me to do the thing I want to do. And until that external thing happens, I'm going to have to sit here and deal with it internally. You could go and, put it all online while you're waiting. But maybe you don't want to. Why does everything have to go all online? I know everything is out there, but does it really have to be online? Does everybody have to see it? It can be good. Some people don't put their stuff online. And a friend of mine once said that that's a really privileged thing, to be able to not have to put your stuff online. But I wonder, is that actually the way to look at it, that like you're being able to sort of keep a low profile or even anonymity is a privileged thing? It is privilege, but is that privilege necessarily tied to money? There's a lot of ways to handle money. You can handle it with your hands. You can get somebody else to handle it for you. You need to trust them. You can just like refuse to touch it at all, which is, I've heard it's very freeing. But I assume it's only freeing if it is something that you actively and continuously make the choice not to do. Active and continuous is a great thing to think about oneself. I'm just active and continuous. But eventually, you need to sleep. And then you lie down. Are we active and continuous when we're dreaming? Are we active and continuous in our deepest states of sleep, where our brain squeezes out all the filthy waste fluid it used throughout the day and replaces it with fresh, clean fluid for the new day to come? What do you think of stripy clothes? I kind of like them. I don't really like sailor shirts. There's something about the look that is it's just very weird to me. I only like it in like very kind of like kitschy gay settings. And then a sailor shirt is kind of cool. I'm not talking about a schoolgirl sailor shirt. I'm talking about like a traditional man, what is that, French sailor, a stripy thing, so gay. Um, yeah, I don't know about that. But stripes are fun. You can do all kinds of things with stripes. Put stripes on stripes. If I made stripes all over my walls, I'd probably feel a little crazy after a while. I think I could live with it though for quite a long time. Maybe very thin pinstripes. No, no. Depends on the room and the lighting and the furniture to go with it. All kinds of things make stripes. Shadows make stripes. My radiator looks like stripes if I sort of position my head that is cropped by the bar at the end of my bed. If I think about it, the sliding windows in my screen door, they sort of slid up. There's two stripes there. Bricks, the grout makes stripes, but the bricks themselves is just a brick pattern. It's a very different thing. We're not going to pretend they're both the same. Stripes. Just the bars on my cell, man. I bought flowers today. I like to have fresh cut flowers in my home. It's a special treat. They can be very expensive, these flowers. Sometimes they can be very cheap for what you get, though. Think about how many days they're going to last, and then divide the dollars you spent by the days you have the flowers. I got a bunch of flowers, and I split them up. So it's like having two bouquets. And so now I can then divide that by 2 and then divide that by the number of days. And that's how much I spent per day on flowers. That's the value of something, isn't it? Is that how we determine the value of flowers? They smell sweet, and I smell them when I fall asleep and when I wake up in the morning. And what a privileged thing to have flowers by my bedside. I live in the middle of the city. It's hard to go find a place where you can just pick flowers, unless you go into someone's yard. But these are my neighbors. Most of them are not very rich, although some of them are. But it's rude to just cut the flowers down, especially if there's only 1 or 2. It's just like nature. The city is part of nature. Humans are natural, and everything we do is part of the natural world. Doesn't make it good or right. Does not make it good or right at all. But that's okay. Life continues on. If we were rocks, would we notice what's happening right now? Do rocks notice when thousands of Americans are brought up into Canada to remote northern communities to build a dam that the people up there never wanted and spread COVID? And the people say, don't come here, we don't want COVID. And the government says, if you try to keep them from coming to this place and giving you COVID, we're going to put you all in jail, or you're going to get COVID anyway. And that's what's happening in Manitoba right now. I can't say the name of the dam. It's a Cree word, and I don't know how to pronounce it. But Manitoba Hydro is doing that right now. And it's a very, very, very scary thing that we would think of doing that to people at a time like this.